Our theme this month is a way of life that makes a difference. And today's topic is have it your way. Just as anything in life is dynamic and ever-changing, the divine spirit behind it all is also always on the move. So each week this month, I'm going to share with you the value, the joy, and the inspiration of knowing that spirit is always on the move and always acting for your highest and best good. And I'll continue to stress that signs and messages come to us constantly. We simply need to be open and available to heed them. Last week, we began this series with the topic, What You See is What You Get. And like most people on the pathway to spiritual awakening, we know that until we truly believe something, it'll never become a part of our existence, our awareness. That is, we won't see it play out in our lives. We will see what we intend. We will see what we believe, and when we believe it, and believe in it. We have to begin with the idea that the deeply felt desire, the conviction about what we are intending to do, be, or have. Those connect us to unlimited possibilities, to concepts that we haven't yet experienced, but can imagine. Spirit is on the move everywhere and in everyone. This universal intelligence is operating in and through all of us, even when we're not expecting it. A couple of years ago, I taught a class here titled Principles of Financial Freedom. And in that class, we looked at what were identified as the kingdoms of consciousness to higher awareness. In fact, I've actually taught a workshop on that topic several times in the past in many different settings. And it's one of my favorites because it gives us an opportunity to see how we are progressing on our path to higher consciousness. One time when I did it, there was a young man who was attending, and he had occasion to say that when he was about 12 years old, he read in a book the following words: "The only limitations you will ever have or face in your life are the ones you create in your own mind." Though his childhood was beset with the difficulties caused by a dysfunctional family, he knew from the moment he read those words that the problems experienced by his relatives were not his to bear, unless he chose to. He chose instead to have it his way. So begins today's talk, Have It Your Way. Because the fact of the matter is, we always have it our way. Life is a series of ideas and events that each of us creates for ourselves. In some ways, it's just like the fast food industry. I admit that I am a party to the support of the fast food industry. I'm probably not a party to the growth of the fast food industry because I'm only an occasional user. But I do enjoy the convenience and the variety afforded me by driving through to get my food after I've had the variety of choosing from a menu that's 3, 4, or 5 pages in print large enough that it's actually legible several feet away. So not too long ago, I took advantage of an opportunity to stop on the way home at a local Mexican fast food restaurant. There was a particular program that I wanted to see on TV, and this seemed reason enough to not to stop, and also not to shop, and also not to cook. However, I chose to do this at a time of the day when others had made the same choice. The line of cars was long. But not to worry, I thought, this is a fast food restaurant. When I got to the menu board and I ordered my meal, the disembodied voice with whom I placed my order seemed to be having great difficulty getting it straight. So finally, I elected to order one of the combos, which is less complicated to understand. Give me a number 3, I said, with iced tea. Well, it was 25 minutes from the time I pulled into that line of cars until I got to the window to pay for and receive my food. The thought that this was fast had long since been put aside along with my original order. Inside the building, though, was a scene that could best be described as pandemonium. Apparently, management was absent or ineffective, for the employees were doing anything but getting the job done, and the line of cars outside was testimony to that. But the thought that came to me was, next time I'll have it my way, I'll go to Burger King, which just happened to be across the street from that Mexican restaurant I was in line for. Remember that ad campaign? It was a long time ago, but it popped into my mind when I was doing this talk. Have it your way. Have it your way. You see, talk topics are born in the most interesting and unexpected ways. But having it my way is the same as saying, I am always cause to my own effect. And in order to have it our way, we have to have a way to have. C.S.LWH once said, there are 2 kinds of people. There are those who say to God, thy will be done. And then there are those to whom God says, all right then, have it your way. Now, I don't mean to suggest here that Burger King is the only fast food idea in the mind of God. But I do mean to suggest that when we realize that we create the experiences of our lives, then what we cause plays out in our life. And then we realize that whatever is going on with us is because we are having it our way. In one of our Science of Mind classes, we study mental equivalence, and I've talked about that briefly here on Sunday before. The term mental equivalent is a phrase coined by Emmett Fox, although he got it from Thomas Troward, for those of you who've taken Troward's classes. Fox believed that the secret of successful living is to build the mental equivalent that you want, and to rid yourself of the mental equivalents you don't want. Gosh, can it be that simple? Yeah, it really can. In a practical sense, what that means to me is that I can have it my way once I determine 2 things. 1, what is it that I expect? And 2, what is my way? In other words, I need to have a clear understanding, a picture, if you will, of what it is I'm after. It may be the kind of body I expect, the kind of home I choose, perhaps the kind of work that I love, the kinds of people I prefer to associate with. And whatever it is going to correspond to the mental concepts that I hold. And how we develop those mental concepts, that mental equivalent, is by thinking quietly, constantly, and persistently of the kinds of things we desire. We must think clearly and with definiteness, and we must have a true interest in bringing this mental equivalent into expressive form in our lives. These 2 things, clarity and interest, are the key to having it your way. We build a mental equivalent for what we desire by getting interested in it. In that way, we create feelings about it. We put our heart into it, as the saying goes. People who are successful in any venture are successful because they love what they're doing. They're successful because they care and are truly interested in what they're doing. Having it your way is not just an egotistical or self-absorbed idea of how your life should be. We're all here in this life to express God. And true expression is our ability to demonstrate that to the utmost. We have both an opportunity and a responsibility to demonstrate health, to demonstrate prosperity, to demonstrate freedom, for those are the true expressions of creative spirit. And having it your way is a fact of life, whether you're currently satisfied with the results or not. Because you've already had a mental equivalent for the things that are currently in your life. If those things are not pleasing to you, if they don't satisfy you, if they don't make you smile every time you think of them, then it's time to build a new pattern, a new mental equivalent for what you do intend. If you want to change some condition in your life, change your thought about it. And here's the biggie, the super whopper with everything you desire on it. Keep your thought changed. That's worth repeating. If you want to change some condition in your life, change your thinking about it and keep it changed. Remember the sacred continuum? The sacred continuum suggests that the vast majority of our time each day is not spent in prayer. But the thoughts we have, the words we utter, and the actions we perform the rest of the time speak just as loudly as when we are in the formal act of prayer, spiritual mind treatment, or meditation. So, for example, if I expect good health in my life, if I want to be healthy, then I'd better stop thinking about sickness. I have to stop talking about my various aches and pains. When I hear someone talking about, you'll recognize this phrase, it's going around, everybody's got it, I must stop fearing that I'm bound to get it too. Instead, I focus on what good health means to me. When I pull up to the order board at Burger King, I don't say, well, let's see now. I don't like fish sandwiches. And I sure don't want the chicken club. I really don't care for Cokes or Dr. Peppers either. And don't give me the biggie fries. If I were to do that, and then expect them to figure out what I do want, there is a very strong possibility I'd really be disappointed when I got my order. Because not only do they not know what I want, but apparently I don't either. And when we don't know what we want, we're going to get a whole lot of what we don't want. So going back to the scenario of health, let's use the same approach. When I say, I sure don't want to get that flu that's going around, because everybody who gets it is really sick with it, they have to go to bed, most of them have to go to the doctor, and you know how doctors' waiting rooms are always filled with people who have all kinds of things wrong. The doctor will probably prescribe antibiotics if I go, and I really hate to take that stuff. See what I'm doing with this mental equivalent? It's Sunday. I feel fine now. But by tomorrow, I'll probably have that sore throat that everybody's talking about. And whenever I get a sore throat, I always end up with laryngitis. And usually, with me, it goes into bronchitis. By Wednesday, like my mother used to say, I'll be sick as a horse. Instead, this is what I prefer. I prefer to forget what I don't want. I focus instead on what I do choose in my life. I make my thoughts positive, constructive, harmonious, and pertinent to my desire. Please give me a Whopper with cheese and no mayo. Add a small salad with blue cheese, dressing, and low-fat milk. If I wanted French fries, I'd go to McDonald's because I like theirs better. In fact, I've done that. Have you ever done that? I like vanilla shakes, and McDonald's are the best for me. So more than once, I've gotten my Whopper at Burger King, and then I've gone over to McDonald's for my French fries and my vanilla shake. It's still faster than making them myself, and it's having it my way. So I learned to forget what I don't want. I focus instead on what I do prefer, and make my thoughts positive, constructive, harmonious, and pertinent to my desire. I expect good health. I expect to be energetic, active, and fully participative in my life. I choose to see and hear what is going on around me. I choose to see and hear what's going on around me. That's my mental equivalent. So that's where I put my attention, my focus. Intuitively, then, I'm guided to do things that support that intention. I notice that I'm eating more healthful foods. Perhaps I'm eating smaller quantities. Yet I feel satisfied and nourished because I'm eating well. I find myself getting adequate rest. Perhaps I'm sleeping less hours, and yet I feel refreshed and energized because I'm sleeping better. I notice that I'm exercising more without resisting having to do so. I found a friend to walk with or ride the exercycle, so the time passes pleasantly and I'm enjoying getting stronger physically every day. I'll do a sidebar for you on water walking. It's fabulous. So what's happening here is that I'm automatically acting on the image that I've created for myself. I'm giving my attention to what I desire for my highest and best good. And it's showing up in many ways, some that are subtle and some very noticeable. When we choose to have it our way, and that way is positive, we are building the mental equivalent of success and of happiness. Occasionally, though, our thoughts may slip back into the old rut, the old way of thinking. That's sometimes referred to as force of habit. Sound familiar? But habits can be changed. And as we stay focused on our new habit, it eventually becomes easier than the old one. That's sometimes known as staying the course and exercising our power of choice. In the book, Man's Search for a Meaning, Viktor Frankl, who was a Holocaust survivor, wrote this: "Everything can be taken from a person but one thing: to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. That is, to choose one's own way. That we continue to have this freedom, this power of choice, implies a love huge enough to be eternal." That love, huge enough to be eternal, is spirit on the move in our lives. Spirit is always on the move and always acting for our highest and best good. Signs and messages that this is so come to us constantly. We simply must be open and available to heed them. That we are able to create a mental equivalent of what we choose is one of those signs. That we can bring these desires about in our lives is one of those signs. So have it your way. Realize the value, the joy, and the inspiration of knowing that spirit is on the move. in you. And so it is.
So it is.